Okay.
I got time to make a call.
With over 20 years of broadcasting experience, Phil will give you a unique perspective as only he can.
If you have $1 million house and you have $1 million worth of insurance on it in case something goes wrong, why would you reduce that insurance down to $100,000? And that's what the Patriots did. They have a Super Bowl football team. Their insurance was Jimmy Garoppolo. They let him go for a second-round pick.
Phil spent 15 years as a quarterback in the NFL and was named MVP of Super Bowl 21 with a near-perfect performance.
Sims has the ball. Sims throws, end zone. Bavard, touchdown.
Phil Simms has always been associated with winners. LT, Parcells, and now Russo.
Yeah, good one.
Join Phil and the doggy every week as they go around the NFL and break down all the games. Football Fridays will never be the same.
Whoa, you're Phil Simms.
I am. I'm here.
It's Simms and the Mad Dog on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Now, here are two giants, Phil Simms and Christopher Russo.
Yes, we look forward to it. A good hour is forthcoming with the great Phil Simms. Philip, nice to talk. How are you today, pal? Okay?
Hey, Chris, I'm doing well. Got a little bit of a cold, but, I'll be fine by Sunday, and I enjoyed it. I was listening to your show earlier today, and I loved when you said, I don't watch pregame shows. I don't watch them.
Oh, jeez.
I don't watch them. This week, maybe.
I was afraid. I was afraid you might. I was afraid you might be watching that.
Hey! It's okay.
But I love, Phil, as a sports fan. I don't know how you feel about it, but I love the 3 o'clock, 7 o'clock start. In the old days, you played at 1 and 4 in the championship week. They changed it about 10 years ago, and I like the later starts on Title Day in the NFL. You know that?
Hey, me too. For a lot of reasons, I think it's great for the fans. I liked it as a broadcaster. I like it that it's for TV, and also we got the early game. It means I don't have to get in there and leave my house at 6:45 in the morning to go have meetings before the show. So it's great. I get to sleep a little more.
And not only that, you get I'd rather have from a television, from watching the game perspective, if you're doing the pregame, do the early game. Absolutely. Because then you can watch the whole second game. If you're doing the second game, you miss the end of the first game, correct?
No question. When you're doing the second game, it's amazing because of so much stuff that goes on TV, which that you see so little of the game, and you have to come home and rewatch it. That's what I do. I tape the games. Every Sunday I go in, I tape those games. Whatever the game I want to see, I tape them because I know I'm not going to see as much as I want sitting in that studio.
All right, we got a lot to do today. I want to recap last week, too, but we'll do a little differently. We'll do a couple things on this week first, take a break, and then we'll go back to last week. First off, what do you read? They listed him as questionable, whatever that means. What is your take on this little injury with Brady with the hand?
Well, questionable means he's going to play. I watched Tom Brady's press conference. It was pretty funny. He gave some, they're machines up there. But just his demeanor, everything the way he acted, he's going to play this weekend. And the only question is going to be this, Chris. Is he going to wear a glove on his right hand or is he not going to wear a glove? To me, that's it. And we'll see where it goes from there.
Do you think that he will be compromised in any way?
I don't think greatly. From what I understand, I don't know yet. I'm sure we'll find out by Sunday exactly where the cut on his hand or whatever it was. If it's the thumb and if it's the joint of your right thumb, that's always a problem for quarterbacks. If you hurt one finger on a quarterback's hand, that's the most valuable. It would be his thumb. So we'll see. But again, I don't think it'll be a big deal. If he has to wear gloves, he can overcome that, because his throwing motion is conducive to wearing gloves where it's not a problem. And they have so many little, I'll just say them this way because people understand this, gadget plays that they can kind of run an offense without making any really aggressive throws down the field if they need to.
All right, that's number one. Number two, do you think no practice time for Brady? I know he's been there for 1,000,000 years, so maybe not, but he didn't practice. And who knows how much he practiced today. Amendola said he did practice, but he's been at least curtailed this week. Is that a problem or not a problem for their offense?
I'm going to say no, and I really believe that. No, it's not going to be a problem unless his thumb is much worse than I expect. Tom Brady, to be honest, Chris, it probably helped him It's kept his legs fresher, keeps his arm fresh, and he's thrown so many passes. You said it. If that's a problem, then I'll be shocked.
All right, so that's the first thing. Second thing, let's do the. Well, let me ask you this way: do you think Coughlin and the fact that he has beaten Belichick twice, he's sort of their kryptonite?
Yeah,
I'm sure he's going to talk to Marone all week. Do you buy into that Coughlin-Belichick thing as an advantage for Jacksonville this week?
No, I do not. I think that what they do down in Jacksonville duplicates a lot what the New England Patriots do. They practice against each other this preseason. You know why they did that? Because Bill Belichick likes to practice, and Tom Coughlin and Doug Marrone like to practice too. And what I mean by that, they didn't go out there and do an underwear show. They went out there and hit each other for 3 days and got a lot of really good work in to evaluate their players. So, but the teams that Tom Coughlin beat don't even mirror what New England does now. They have really changed a lot on the offensive side and the defensive sides since those games that Tom Coughlin beat Bill Belichick. So I don't think it's a big deal. The big deal is the Jaguars got good players. They're a well-coached football team. That's the biggest problem for the Patriots.
All right, let's go to the game 2 now. We'll do the surface stuff, and then we'll come back and get specific. Do you think that there could be any negative or positive carryover to the Vikings with the way they win? A, almost a little flat after all the emotion, or B, all that great karma and they'll be unstoppable. Do you buy into any of those two theories for the game Sunday?
Yeah, I'm not a big theory guy. The locker room is just so much different than what we all expect. We all think there's pressure on the players. We all think this and all this emotion. And, when it comes down to it, this guy said this about me. Chris, once a game starts, you're not like, I'm super pumped up because he disrespected me. So my theory is it's the NFC Championship game. They understood that. I'm sure they came back to earth pretty quick. And once they started really studying the Philadelphia Eagles on Wednesday, when you turn that film on, you go, okay, that'll get your attention because they're good. And they're big, they're physical, they're everything the Minnesota Vikings is. So I think the Vikings will be grounded and ready to go.
All right, the two road teams have one less day to prepare and have to get on a plane. Is that a big advantage for the home teams this week?
No, I must say no. Again, going on the road kind of bonds you and all those things. There's a lot of good stuff about being on the road. Plus, there's some negative thoughts too. But the one less day, getting on the plane, that means nothing. They've done so much. They have so many game plans on both sides of the ball, what to choose from, what we want to do. They both have seen offenses or defense that kind of replicate what they're going to face in this game. So I don't think it's advantage or a disadvantage either way.
Do you like the idea that both these teams did not play against each other in the regular season?
I love it. I really do. Because there's always, and you and I talk about this all the time, you watch TV, you watch tapes, and you do all this studying, and it happens to players. It happened to me many times. The game would start, and I go, oh, my gosh, all that work, and we misjudged who they are. They're bigger, they're faster, or maybe it's the opposite way too. This set of plays that we thought was going to work, they have no chance. We got to go to plan B, which is great. And I love seeing it as a commentator to see which coaches truly make that adjustment and go to the next game plan because the one they drew up was not going to work.
All right, so you think you like the idea that these are two teams, although Jacksonville and the Pats did practice with with each other this year.
Yeah, that was a
long time ago. So you like that idea? You think the freshness is good? Okay.
I think it's refreshing. I mean, now you have a better chance of catching the other team by surprise. And like I said, you can't replicate some things. You can do whatever you want down in Jacksonville. You've never seen an offense like the New England Patriots, who do so much, who have so much window dressing, and they can run so many different types of offenses. And the biggest one is, of course, they got a power game, but it is a finesse offense if I said it overall, but you got to be ready for the hurry up. I did so many games of New England. Every coach, you've heard me say it, well, yeah, we're ready for the hurry up. And then the game would come on, and there comes the hurry up, and they had no answers for it. And I would expect New England to try the hurry-up offense in this game somewhere just to check out Jacksonville's whole card to see if they're ready for it.
No, we'll get to that. All right, home field Now, you're on teams that won a road game in a championship setting, and, of course, beat Redskins at home. Home field, is it a bigger deal at this level of football in this kind of game?
I think it's a big deal, and especially when you talk about really good football teams. And here it just comes down to this. Let's just take Minnesota going to down to Philadelphia to play. Now the Minnesota defensive line, which is very good, is not on a fast track like they are in their dome. It's perfect footing. They don't have the crowd noise behind them. That's really a big deal. So that's going to work the opposite way. Now you have crowd noise, hard for the offense to really communicate, and a defensive line that's really good for the Philadelphia Eagles. They have a greater chance of getting a half a step. Man, and a half a step in the NFL, Chris, and I know, man, that's like a mile. That's everything. So home field advantage can play a big part of the outcome, I think, in these kind of games.
All right, one last question, then a break, and then we'll review last week and then get some calls in maybe and go back to the preview of this week.
Okay.
If there are no turnovers in both these games, in other words, nothing wacky, nobody blocks a punt, nobody throws a pick six, like that, and the game is played cleanly on both sides, who are the two better teams?
Oh, the two better teams? Well, listen, I think we all realize that the New England Patriots are a better team than the Jacksonville Jaguars for many reasons. Just one, how they're coached, what they've done. They've been there. They got experience and all this stuff. So the other game, everything equal and all that, you know what I'd say? You got to flip a coin. I mean, it's amazing. I can talk about this game, and you could sell it to me either way. I think it's that close. And the talent, I think, is very close. So when I look at it, I'll just say this. I look at Philadelphia's offensive line. I think it's better than the Minnesota offensive line. And on defense, I look at them as about even. So that's where I kind of draw the line. I think the offense of the Minnesota Vikings is better conceived than the Philadelphia offense is. Case Keenum, I think, will have more chances to make plays against the defense down the field than Nick Foles does. So, man, when you put it all together, it's a pretty even match.
All right, but in essence, for the team that's the underdog, for them to even up the game, the one that needs the breaks are the Jaguars, correct?
Yeah, the Jacksonville Jaguars need the game to fall into a certain way. They're probably going to need some turnovers, and they're going to have to.
Well, they got two big ones. They got two big ones last week, as you know better than anybody. That interception early and the fumble for the touchdown.
Well, they ththrew gasoline on the fire. The Pittsburgh Steelers did. I mean, they came out in a spread offense, which shocked me. But the question is about turnovers. Can Jacksonville two things? Just real quick. Their defensive line is the strength of winning the game. Their defensive line has to be great. Find a way to really get rid of some of these things that New England likes to do. And there's no question, Jacksonville, if they don't run the football well, I think their chances of winning are very, very small.
All right, lots to still do. We'll get your calls in for Phil after the next segment. I want to break down a few things on Philip last week. We'll get a chance to look at 4 games. It's important to hear his thoughts. We'll do that in a sec. Good to have you with us on a busy Friday championship weekend in the NFL.